Hello and welcome to this edition of Takeaway Tuesday. Today we're going to be talking about children's ability to date events. And this is something that we truly understand the need for both our team and prosecution to come back and to ask a child when something took place or when an event took place. But what we don't understand is that when we ask this very simple question of when, that it's very challenging. And it's not only challenging for children, it can often be challenging for us as adults. But what happens when we're asking children, we have to look at that there has to be a certain amount of brain maturation, cognitive development, and also just a conscious awareness that time passes. We have to have an understanding of conventional time patterns. So we have to understand that 24 hours makes up a day, and that there's 7 days in a week, and so many weeks in a month, and so many months in a year. And that can be very challenging for children. What happens once we do have an understanding, or we're developing that understanding of time patterns, we're also then, when we're asked when something took place, it's a reconstruction process. So we have to go back and we have to think about the event in question, and we have to pull up, what do we know about this event? What do we remember about what happened? And then we have to pair that event, or what we know about that event, with, again, our understanding of conventional time patterns. And that's where we start to have some real challenges with kids. Because if they have a poor memory for the events in question, or if it's ongoing, multiple incidences of abuse, then which incidents are we asking about, and how do they remember one versus another? And then they have to pull that together with what do they remember about the time, if anything. And children that come in and they have a poor memory about the event, or they don't understand truly conventional time patterns, they're going to do pretty poorly when we ask when. And what we know about some of the younger children, they may guess. And we have this expectation that as children get older, they're going to be able to come in and do better and better. So eventually we have an expectation that maybe middle latent to late latency age children, maybe, maybe 8 to 10 or 8 to 12, and then even the adolescents should be able to answer these questions at ease. And the truth is, research is pretty clear that it's rare for us to store an event in memory related to the timing of the event. Now, certainly we all have episodes or different events in our life that we remember by the date, and that could be an anniversary, the day that you got married, a day that your child was born, maybe a day that you started a new job. And that may be the first thing that you think about. Oh, that was, and then you give the date. But for the majority of our experiences throughout life, what we remember when we're thinking about an event is maybe where we went and who was there and what we did. And then once we think about all of those issues, we start thinking about, oh, okay, I can tell you approximately the time or when that event took place. But that's not a guarantee. And so that can be really, really challenging for children. Now, some of the questions that we as forensic interviewers ask children, and I hear this all of the time, is we will try to ask about an event in relation to what's called a landmark event, such as a birthday or a holiday, or maybe before school started or after school started. Or we may come out and just ask, how old were you when this happened? Or what grade were you in? Or where did you live? And folks, these are, they're very, very challenging questions. And the research is pretty clear that let's start off with just asking or talking about landmark events. Was it before or after Christmas, or before or after your birthday? Well, there's been some research that looked at asking about before or after birthdays or near birthdays. And what the researchers found, and they were particularly looking at children, I believe, that were 6 to 10, but what they found with those children, that even if the event in question had just maybe occurred, maybe it was after the birthday, but it wasn't too far in the past, the children were coming back and saying, no, it wasn't near their birthday, it wasn't after their birthday, it was before, because what's happening is they're thinking about the next birthday. And so if it happened past the last birthday but before the next one, they were just saying no, because they're looking at the upcoming birthday, even if it's months down the road. So that's not really a very good question. And then when we just say, well, was it near your birthday? The question becomes, what does near mean? Is it a week? Is it 2 weeks? Is it a couple of months? I don't know. And you may define near very differently than the child defines near or the team defines near. So even if you ask that question and the child says yes, what does that mean? And the answer is we really don't know. So instead of just coming in and asking a direct question, well, how old were you? It would be better to come and say, okay, you've talked about, and whatever they've talked about, maybe tell me some other things that were going on in your life around this time. And generally, children may come up with some idiosyncratic details that we wouldn't think to ask. Oh, I had just started Cub Scouts or Indian Princess, or that's when we moved to the yellow house, or that's when I got my dog, Bo. So what we need to do is ask questions that use recall memory, not recognition memory, and see what the child pulls up out of memory. Because again, thinking about, if we go back to that landmark event, if there's nothing in the abuse, in the elements of the abuse that link to that particular landmark event, before, after school, a holiday, a birthday, there's not going to be any connection for that child. And maybe they can give it to us, maybe they can't. Not really the best question. So again, better questions to ask is, what do you remember? Tell us other things that were going on. And often what we know, if children can give us who was there, what happened, and maybe where it happened, then you can use other adults in that child's life, their parents, their caretakers, maybe teachers or someone else, but you can use the adults to narrow down that time frame and keep from asking really bad questions in the forensic interview. As always, thanks for watching. If you'd like further information, check out Calio, the NCAC online library, and look to the National Children's Advocacy Center online training center for further information. And as always, if you have any questions or comments, please email me at the link below. Thanks and have a great day.